Now, I think the case most worthy of our attention and the one that captures everything going on in China today is still the death of actor Yu Menglong. Yesterday, 11 days after Yu's death, authorities made an announcement. They said they had arrested 3 individuals who are connected to the case. But here's the twist. Not 3 suspects, not 3 killers, no, but 3 women accused of spreading rumors online about Yu's death. The first woman was arrested for saying that a powerful figure in Beijing was sexually interested in Yu and set up the party that led to his death. The second was arrested for saying Yu was tortured before he was murdered. The third was arrested for saying that Yu's mother and family are under surveillance, silenced by a formidable force. Authorities declare these 3 women are being dealt with, and it's very possible more people have already been taken away quietly without any public acknowledgement. At the same time, the Cyberspace Administration launched a nationwide 2-month campaign called Clear and Bright Action. They said they would review every part of the internet, topics, trending lists, recommendations, bullet screens, comments, and so on. So in plain words, they're cleaning up celebrity rumor mills. But let's be clear, this is about silencing the case, the Yu Menglong case. Now, as authorities tighten their grip on online discussions, people notice something chilling. The actor's name has already been erased from shows that he once starred in on Netflix. Directors and screenwriters who were identified at that notorious party the night before his death, after being silent for almost 2 weeks, suddenly now are vocal. And they have issued threats against anyone who defames them. So think of this kind of heavy-handed response tells you one thing. Yu Menglong's death likely touched on the most sensitive secrets tied to the very top of China's leadership. Everyone knows it, but no one is supposed to say it. And that silence says everything. So what exactly is it that no one dares to talk about? 2 things. First, the case implicates the family members of Xi Jinping and Cai Qi. Second, it involves money laundering, but not just any laundering. This is about arms smuggling and laundering of trillions of yuan by the Xi family. The figure being whispered about is staggering, 2 trillion yuan. Okay, so let's get to the bottom of that. In my Sunday morning program, I told you at the center of this case stood a man named Xin Qi, who many people thought was tied to Cai Qi, right? People believe he was the secret son of Cai Qi. But now new information has surfaced. It turns out netizens believe that Xin Qi may not be connected to Cai Qi at all. Instead, after digging deeper, online investigators identified all 16 guests who attended that fateful party. And the last person they exposed was a 29-year-old man named Cai Yijia, allegedly the son of Cai Qi. Now, the clues are striking. He carries the same last name as Cai Qi. The resemblance is there. And the other thing is, this Cai Yijia person was born in Fuzhou, Fujian in 1996, the exact time when Cai Qi was serving as a local official and working on his master's degree in Fuzhou. So his mother, many suspect, may have been one of Cai Qi's mistresses at the time. Now, this young man, after graduating from drama school, the younger Cai went straight into acting. And here's the odd part. Many big-name stars were pushed into playing supporting roles just to make him shine. And then in 2017, the year Cai Qi rose to be a Politburo member. So in that year, or starting from that year, almost all traces of the younger Cai disappeared from the internet from that point on. On the mainland, any online comment linking the two was deleted within minutes. And Cai Yijia's own social media accounts quickly disabled all public comments. So there's strong evidence connecting these two. Then there's the question, well, who is the other man, the 33-year-old Xin Qi previously identified at the center of Yu's death. Some claim he's tied to Xi Jinping's brother, Xi Jinping. And the whispers say this is why Yu Menglong had to die, because Yu was caught up in their money laundering operations and knew way too much. So remember in my last program, I told you Yu allegedly swallowed a USB drive containing sensitive information. The rumor is that he was tortured because he had gathered evidence of laundering, hoping to use it as leverage to break free from those controlling him. But he was too naive. So how do drinking parties, forced companionship, even sexual abuse tie into money laundering? Well, because China's entertainment world is basically a giant washing machine for dirty money. And this has been going on for decades. So this is the machine Yu Menglong was trapped in. Studios under artists' names see huge sums flow in and out that have nothing to do with their actual work. Agents serve as middlemen for the laundering, and artists, no matter how famous, don't dare ask questions. They're just props. Their value isn't just their talent or fame, it's that their names serve as laundromats for the bosses. And here's the darkest part. Because the sums are so massive, the pressure is crushing. That's why even stars at the top still have to drink with bosses and offer themselves and comply. And they're chained to this network of power and money. And the rumor is that Yu Menglong had proof his own studio was being used to wash money. And that's what sealed his fate. Now, netizens even discovered multiple companies registered under Yu's name using the same phone number. And that same phone number was used to register dozens of companies under other artists' names. When you see multiple companies with different owners, but the same phone number, that's a sign, that's a giant red flag for money laundering. And here's another shocking twist. One of the 16 people at the party that night was a friend of Yu's, and his name is Fan Shiqi. So like Yu, he's also a contestant in the 2013 talent show called Happy Boys. They have happy boys and happy girls singing contests. So public records reveal that many contestants from that same year of Happy Years or Happy Girls registered companies in a place in Shandong called Jiaozhou. And they registered their companies around the same time. And documents show that Fan Shiqi and Yu Menglong once co-registered multiple companies spanning medical services, medical devices, entertainment, agriculture, office supplies, and even military-related products. Okay, so here comes the tricky part. So one netizen looked up their companies in the business registration database, and he discovered something stunning. On September 15th, 2017, through a Beijing agency, Yu Menglong filed a trademark registration for a company called Shanghai Qimen Film and Television Culture Studio. The application number was right there. I even have the number. It's 264256001. But the category of the company, it's class 13, which is firearms and pyrotechnics. So the list of products included motorized weapons, firearms, gunpowder, pyrotechnic products, fireworks, firecrackers, even self-defense sprays. Now think about that. Film studios dealing in weapons. Why would Yu Menglong, an ordinary actor with no strong political background, own companies tied to arms and munitions in China? So the logical answer is he didn't. Someone else was using his name, setting up companies under him to move weapons and money, which suggests Yu wasn't just caught in showbiz corruption. He was being used in arms smuggling and large-scale laundering by elite families inside the CCP. Alleged insiders say people tied to Zhou Nanhai's top leadership were controlling artists from behind the scenes, using the mass registration of shell companies as a cover for laundering and arms deal. Now, coincidentally, just before Yu Menglong's death became a national sensation, whispers were already spreading about the Xi Jinping family embezzling military funds. The rumor had been circulating for 2 weeks before Yu died, and only now do I see how the two stories connect. So it was said that Zhang Youxia discovered the Xi family had been siphoning off defense money to enrich themselves. And Zhang Youxia's ally, General Liu Yuan, who is Zhang Youxia's partner running the military right now. So Liu Yuan made the bold move of exposing it at an emergency meeting of the Central Military Commission. And Liu didn't mince words. He declared that Xi Jinping's family had embezzled 2 trillion yuan of military funds and secretly transferred it overseas. And he said it clearly. He said this wasn't a rumor. He had a report backed with solid evidence. 2 trillion yuan that should have gone towards modernizing the military, but it was instead funneled away by the Xi family under the cover of the Belt and Road Initiative. In his speech, Liu Yuan broke down the findings. Investigators even tracked where the funds went. The first route was to Southeast Asia, port constructions in Thailand, railway corridors, energy pipelines, all moved through family-controlled firms. And the second was to South Pacific and Oceania. Secret stakes in Australian ports presented as investments, but in reality, they were strategic footholds. And it is said that the Xi family holds extensive assets in Australia. Watch my video on Yang Lanlan, the $1 million crash by that 23-year-old young woman named Yang Lanlan, if you haven't already. And that explains the extensive holdings, assets in Australia by the Xi family. And the third place is Latin America, where Venezuela has become a key hub for them. And that's where large chunks of defense money were broken up and poured into the country's financial system. And the last is Middle East and Africa, disguised as port and industrial park projects, but really a way to seize shipping lanes and resource rights, building an overseas empire centered on family wealth. I heard the whispers of the above expose about Xi Jinping's embezzlement of 2 trillion yuan weeks ago, about a month ago. I didn't connect it to Yu Menglong's death until today, while researching his ties to money laundering, and the pieces fit together. So let me recap what we know. One, someone was using Yu's name to run laundering schemes and arms deals. And then the second thing we know is his death allegedly is linked to family members of Xi Jinping and Cai Qi. And this is like 70% of the leaks. Number three, his case has been suppressed more brutally than anything we've seen in years, with multiple arrests. And number four, his murder was premeditated. How do we know it's premeditated? Well, here's the chilling claim that Yu was held captive for days before he died. And that would explain why. Now, during his last live stream, which was on August 29th, or maybe the 30th, he kept trying to send out signals for help. At one point, the video froze. So while his team scrambled to fix the lag, he slowly lowered his hand from his mouth and whispered 3 faint words, hardly audible, but when replayed carefully, you can hear him whisper, "Please help me." He also made the 540 rescue gestures. This is a internationally recognized silent distress signal, often used in domestic abuse situations. And so here's how it works. So you open your palm, fingers out, face out. So that's 5. And then you fold your thumb across the palm, so it's 4. And then you close your fingers into a fist, and that's 0. So that's 540. And in the screenshots, you did the gesture very subtly, almost hidden, because someone was monitoring him. So he couldn't be very obvious with that. And that's why nobody caught it at the time. But now looking back, it's clear that he was begging for rescue. And then came something even darker. Netizens noticed that his sentences in that live stream actually formed a hidden message. And this is what he said. Today, the weather's not so good. That's the first line. And then he said, the sky is full of dark clouds. The third line is, don't forget to take an umbrella when you go out. That's what he said. And then the fourth line is, recently I learned some magic tricks. And the last line he says, even death can be an art. If you look at the first character of those 5 sentences, right? Take the first character of each line and it spells, today they want me to die. Now, later fans asked about, in the same live stream, when his fans asked about the bruises on his forehead, Yu looked at the camera and said, if one day I suddenly disappear, remember, it won't be an accident. Moments later, his agency forcibly cut the live stream. And that was the last time the public saw him alive. So he was trying to tell the world he was in danger. It can be just pure coincidence. And let's put the timeline together. Now, the Xi family embezzlement leak, when did that come out? Mid-August. It was actually August the 18th. 10 days later, Yu Menglong appeared in a live stream, already in captivity, sending desperate signals. 11 days later, he was dead. So ask yourself, is that a coincidence? Was his death linked to the cover-up of the Xi family corruption? I can't say for certain, but judged by how brutal the crackdown on the information on the online, on social media has been, it has to be tied to leaders at the very top. There's one thing that I'm certain, that is Yu Menglong was caught in a web of illicit activities, including money laundering and maybe arms trade, illicit arms trade. And for that, he paid the ultimate price.